Mind Over Matter, where we feature young Jamaicans who are shooting for the stars. I'm your host, Margaret Boyne. Remember, if you haven't subscribed to the channel as yet, please do and hit that notification bell. My guest is an 18-year-old student at Knox College, a UNICEF Climate Action Advocate and a Governor General's I Believe Youth Ambassador who is making a positive impact on her community. Her story shows that it is possible to excel in academics, make a difference in the world, and still have time to be a teenager. My guest is Dejanae Fagan. Welcome to Mind Over Matter, Dejanae.
Good afternoon, Mrs. Boyne.
It's a pleasure to have you, man.
And it's a pleasure to be here.
Okay, I see you have all these badges on your uniform. Can you tell me a little about the badges, what they represent?
Okay. If my friend who normally puts them on was here, you'd be able to see them clear. But I
It's
have to do
okay.
my thing. So I think the first one is my head girl badge.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
The second one is my prefect badge. The third one is my sixth form badge. The fourth one is my, well, I'm the president of the Knox College Debating Society, so this badge is
Okay.
representative of that. And the final badge is representative of a climate action committee that I founded
Okay.
in 2022 called the Salvame Committee.
Mhm. All right, so you're a sixth
Oh,
former. Tell me a little about yourself, though. A little about your
in terms of,
background.
okay, well, I am from Craighead, a small farming community in Manchester.
Mhm.
I have siblings who attend the same school as me. I'm from a nuclear family. I love to talk. I also love to write. And most importantly, I love to debate because I'm a very passionate person. So even in everyday conversations, these attributes will come out, the passion and all.
Okay. All right, so you're a climate action advocate. Tell me
Yes.
how did that interest start, or where did that interest start?
Well, it started when I founded the Salvame Committee. So as I stated before, it's a climate action group. So what we were doing was planting trees, selling eco-friendly plants like succulents. We were also hosting climate action sensitization sessions. We had an Earth Summit within our first year of operation. And yeah, that is pretty much it.
Mm-hmm. But why this interest in the climate, though, Dijani?
Well, I was having a conversation with the two of my English teachers, and
Mm-hmm.
they were saying that it's an issue of growing concern that is very detrimental to living. So,
Mm-hmm.
when they stated that, they said that they were interested in forming a body that would be associated with climate action. And I was listening to them, and I assessed the matter for myself, and I said that this is a really serious cause that will
Mm-hmm.
be able to benefit society if we play our cards right. So because of that, I decided that I'm going to start one, and wherever it leads me to, then that's
Mm-hmm.
just
So how successful you were at getting your peers on board?
well. Within our first year, I think it had about 15 members. They were also student leaders and sixth formers, and there was a grade 11 in Salvame at the time. But then when I joined UNICEF, they gave me some trees to plant, and so I planted them. And funny enough, that year, the trees that the Salvame committee planted on behalf of UNICEF were the only trees that survived. Other bodies
What?
planted trees, and all of them died. So everyone was always talking about the trees because they're all around the school, and they
Yes.
were asking who planted them. So persons kept on saying Salvame. So they were always coming to me and asking me what is Salvame? How do I become a part of Salvame? And since then, we have close to 40 members. So that's basically 50%, more than 50% increase.
So why should we be concerned though about climate change?
Well, for starters, I am sure that you can feel the heat. I don't think the summer that we just experienced, I don't think the summers before that summer were as hot as last. So I think that is evidence enough for us to understand that the climate really is changing. And if you are on social media, you will see climate action affiliated organizations like UNICEF, UNESCO, the UN groups promoting climate action because climate change is real and it is potent. A real life example of how severe it is getting in recent years is a prediction that was made about India that by 2050 it will pass the little limit. It was so hot and so unbearable for persons to actually live in India by 2050. So I think evidence, that this is real and it is potent.
So there at Knox, were you able to attract some of the boys?
Yes, we were.
Yes.
Because when we were planting, they're the ones who, gender roles and all, but they're the ones who generally dig the holes using
Right.
the forks and the spades and so on. So we've attracted quite a number of boys.
You're a sixth former. You're in second year, sixth
Yes,
or
this is my final year.
okay. So you already did CSEC and CAPE. How did you do in CSEC?
I did 8 subjects and I got 8 ones, 3 of which were distinctions for CSEC. And then for CAPE, I'm doing 4 subjects. And last year, grade 12, I got 4 twos.
So what do you intend to do after sixth form?
Well, as a person who is passionate about speaking and someone whose mouth is never closed, I am interested in pursuing journalism.
Oh, journalism. Okay. So apart from talking and debating, why you think you chose journalism?
Because I am passionate about using my voice to incite change and to make a difference in the lives of those around me. And I think that that would be the right career path for it. Given my media and all, I could address everyone all at once.
So tell me about now when you received the news that you were selected to be one of the ambassadors under the I Believe initiative.
Well, when I heard that I was nominated, I was very nervous because I was saying out of 14 parishes and how many nominees, why would I be selected? But then when I got the news, I was so excited. Like I was really, really excited because as I've been saying before, I love to speak and the more things I am a part of, it's the more I get to speak and to influence persons using my voice. So I was very elated when I received the news.
And tell us what the I Believe initiative is about.
Okay, so I think it was in 2011, the Governor General gave a speech, and the essence of his speech was that there is nothing so wrong with Jamaica that cannot be fixed with what is right with Jamaica. So, what the I Believe initiative exists for is to use what is right with Jamaica to fix what is wrong with Jamaica. So, it has 3 pillars. One is the family, one is youth, and one is education. So our purpose is to influence those areas so as to ensure that persons become more self-aware and aware of their nation and why it is important to partake in nation building and the value of education so that they can actually partake in nation building as they get older.
So in terms of nation building, have you been doing any community service as yet?
Well, I haven't started, but
Mm,
my fellow IBI ambassador in Manchester, her name is
mhm,
Jade Green. We are planning something at the moment. We just
mhm,
started discussing it Thursday night, some initiatives that we would love to implement in this year so as
mhm.
to make a difference in the three areas that I mentioned before, the three pillars.
Tell me about your family and a little about their influence on your life so far.
Okay, so I am from a financially poor but spiritually rich family. My
Mhm,
parents have instilled the values of being a true and ardent Christian in me from I was a
mhm,
child until now, and that has played a huge role in my life because it
mhm,
has made me a more moral person. I have developed empathy and so on. Now,
mhm,
as I said before, my family is financially poor, and
mhm,
that's one of my biggest motivators. Whenever I,
mhm,
whenever I feel, one of the things I've realized about change is that it is very hard to change in an environment that isn't changing with you or isn't
mhm,
to change. So in those moments when I feel as though all that I'm doing will be all for nothing or that I am not making any impact, I look at my environment and that motivates me to continue. And then I am able to compare where I am at now with where I was before. And then I am able to see that growth is taking place and impact is being made. And so I'm able to continue by just looking at the environment.
mhm. How what their response have been towards all of this thing, I believe.
They are very proud, that much I
Mhm,
can say, and they're also very supportive. So
mhm,
you know that anywhere we're supposed to go outside of the school compound, we need permission from our parents. So whenever I
mhm,
take my permission slips in, they sign them willingly, and they
mhm,
also provide me with the lunch money and the pocket money to make it possible. And they also encourage me to continue verbally.
mhm, mhm,
They are very supportive and they're also very proud.
mhm. All right. How has Knox shaped you, I mean, into this person that you are today?
So when I just went enough, um, I when I was in grade seven, as I'm telling you about change again, the friends that I had at the time, they were doing their work, of course, but they
Mhm,
weren't striving for as much excellence as I would have
mhm,
wanted to strive for, or that I was used to striving for in primary school. So if you look at my blazer, you can see
mhm.
some red stars on here.
Yes.
They're actually supposed to be four because Knox has this thing where they stream the classes. So they have this class called the E stream or the stream of excellence. You need to get 80% or over in order to make it into the E stream.
Mhm.
No, when I was in grade seven, like I barely made it to E. I got about 81%, so I barely scraped through to E. But when I
Right.
actually got into the E stream and I found myself in a class that was so competitive with persons that were getting more than 80%, they were getting 90s and those types of grades, I realized the value in buckling down, as they would say, and
Mhm,
actually focusing on my work. And that is something that Knox did for me because I don't think I would have made it this far if it wasn't for the E stream and if they
mhm,
didn't hype it up all the time and tell you about, oh, you're gonna get a red star, 80% and all of that. So that was one of the first steps for me. When I
mhm,
went into the E stream now, and I realized that I was capable of getting more than 80% for my average, I started looking at the persons who were older than me and they were getting those grades, and I started aspiring to be like them. So
mhm,
when they had their prefect nominations and stuff, well, it wouldn't be a nomination, but when they have the installation ceremonies, I used to look at the head girls at the time. And one year, I just looked and I said, listen, me have to reach this. So me have to be one day. And COVID came. COVID
mhm,
came. And I did not get to join the debating society in grade 9 as I had planned to. And then COVID was a real eye opener for me. And as I've told you before, I'm very passionate about debating, and not debating to me. When I went back into grade 11, I started debating, and through debating, I got to make an impact and an impression on the students, and that is something that I've always dreamt of doing, becoming influential and impactful. And without Knox, that dream would not have been realized. I mean, I haven't been to any other high schools, before, but
Yeah.
have been to Knox and I love Knox and I love what Knox has done for me. All of this, I believe UNICEF Knox has done that for me. So that is how it has shaped me as a person.
Mm. And you mentioned that you are the head girl there now. How have you been able to mold the younger persons at the school as the head girl?
In answering that question, I will start by saying that me molding them and influencing them began before I became head girl. I just told you about my CSEC passes. That was something that was announced at graduation, and our graduation was skipped in the first term of grade 12. So about October thereabout, we had our graduation. School was already in full swing. And so the students heard about what went on at graduation, and then they heard about my passes. After hearing about them, whenever they are down, whenever they are demotivated, they would find my inbox or my DM or come to me face to face and ask me how I did it. If I was stressed, how did I manage the stress? How did I continue despite all the negativities around me? And I also did the Miss Knox pageant in grade 12. That was in December. And
Oh.
I don't know if it was my voice or what, but I realized that I left a potent impression on the students. Both boys and girls were coming to me and asking me how I became so confident. They were literally asking me for tips to improve themselves and become more self aware. And so when I became head girl, all of that was translated. So they continued to see me as the Miss Knox contestant and as the bright seasick girl. And so it has made my job as head girl a lot easier. I mean, I have a lot to do because we've completed our prefect projects, and tomorrow morning I'm supposed to meet with the principal and the head boy to discuss that we can implement them so as to ensure that we leave a potent impact on each and every student there.
But how do you balance everything that you do? Because you're doing a lot.
Um, Mrs. Boyne, I don't think I balance. Like, I just work with my I don't even know how to really explain it. I just work with my deadlines. So if I know that the thing is due, no matter what, I will get it done. Even if it means that I'm going to sacrifice my sleep, which is something that I wouldn't suggest for anyone to, continuously do because
Right.
it will have impact. It will have negative impacts in the future. But the thing is, I don't really balance. I'm very goal oriented and success driven. So I'm one of those busybody children. I have to always be doing something.
Right.
So I don't really balance.
What piece of advice you want to leave for your other students, other teenagers about achieving their goals?
Okay, this might sound very cliche, but it's a quote that I hold dear to me. Fear kills more dreams than failure ever will. So it makes no sense for you to dream about doing the thing or think about doing the thing and then not implement it or start working toward it because you are afraid that you will fail. If you carry that mindset on, then you will never actually achieve anything because you'll never actually try anything. Try and fail and then wheel and come again. That is
Very sound advice, man. And it was great talking to you, Dejanae. I really enjoyed this conversation, and I want to wish you all the best for your exams, which will be coming up at Knox, and all the best for the future as well. And I'm sure I'll be reading about it in the papers.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Boyne. And thank you for having me. As I said before, I love to speak, so it's really an honor and it's really a gratifying thing to be able to share my story with the world through your medium. As usually, I would just talk about my success to myself in my mirror. I also I'd also want to, this might sound small or insignificant coming from me, but I just want to encourage you to continue with this space that you have created because I'm sure that all the persons who have been on here feel honored and gratified to have been able to share their story with the world. And all the persons who have listened to these stories, I'm sure that they have all taken something from it.
Thank you.